welcome you to another episode of Porch Talk. It has been some months since we have been in this room. The last time it was with Taylor Hollingsworth before he played a show here. We're at Druid City Brewing in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide indeed, sir.
And I have the owner of Druid City Brewing, Bo Hicks. Bo, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come by. I've loved what you've done. It was a pleasure to meet you that first time with Taylor. He's one of our favorite people, and just his history is so varied and so awesome. It's, always a blessing to have him here, and,
yeah,
that was awesome.
Definitely not a show I was going to miss.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
So we're here to talk a little bit about Druid City Brewing, and when I tell people about this brewery when they're out of town, I always try to get a crowler or a growler and be like, here, you got to try this IPA or porter. And also, I consider it to be the mecca of the local music scene. I love with the open mic and the people that you draw in here.
That's something that I'm really proud of, too. I mean, as things evolve, and especially music in Tuscaloosa, but I think also everywhere, there's peaks and troughs. And, if there's not people and that are in it to support music, like, we can't pay a lot of acts what I wish we could.
Yeah.
But what we can do is make it a good quality of live show. We want to take care of the artist. Our crowd, we've been blessed with people that want to listen and then want to support them. But also some of the older clubs that used to do it. It goes back to, the Chucker's not here anymore. Egan's is sort of pitching a different vibe now.
They are.
Green Bar is no longer gone. And so, what me and Tyler Marshall, who helps me book here, our thought is if we find it musically valuable, then we want to support it. And we've developed, so many great relationships. We really love helping traveling bands. Like, yeah, y'all come on, we'll feed you. We'll have people that'll listen to you. We'll find you a place to stay, and it's those things that I learned even in my early days when I was still able to tour and play and stuff. Mm-hmm. That was, it can make all the difference in the world if you're trying to build a following of, people like showing you that kindness. And we've been really lucky to, really have people come embrace that. And that's something that's near and dear to our hearts. Like, I'm really proud of the beer that we make here. I make it.
Yeah.
But also, I'm really proud of the community, especially supporting music that's come up around that.
Yeah. And I'll say this, just even with the COVID-19 and the quarantine, Jameson Hubbard and all those guys that are still putting on the open mic through their Instagram. And I was like, this is unreal. Like, the music scene here at Druid City Brewing refuses to quit.
No, it made me so proud, right? That's what gave me the idea to do the Quarantunes shows that we've been doing, to where we pay an artist to, like, hey, we're going to make you an editor of our Facebook.
Yeah.
I know this is going to sound weird, and, some of them are musicians that are pretty well off, like John Calvin Abney. Not that he's well off, but, he's, man, why am I blanking on a Oklahoma guy?
Okay. He was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, he was John Calvin, but the guy that he's the guitar player for, I saw him at Sloss Fest. Bigger guy, big beard. Anyway, he's awesome. But it's also that, like, they had been doing, or even Lee Baines, they had been doing their own live streams. But eventually, you're preaching to the choir there, and so we wanted to be able to pay artists to play a show and make it like a show, like you play it, and then we delete it. After that, like, you have to be there to see this. You have to see the show, right? And I think that was sort of a foreign concept to a lot of people of, like, why are you, during all this, paying artists
and then taking it down?
Yeah, because I wanted it to be like a show, and it seems counterintuitive to where when your sales are down, 85%, that, hey, we're going to double down and pay bands. But every time we did that, we sold more beer that day to people that wanted to come by and get a crowler, take it home, and then watch the show. Get it curbside. So it was not, yes, we wanted to support it, and that's why we did it, but also it just showed me that people are there. If you give them original music, if you give them something that they want, they are willing to support it, even in the crazy world that we've been in. You know, they'll come by and get a growler, and then take it home. So that was something that like just plumb warmed me up.
Yeah, and like Taylor Hollingsworth and the other guys that you've had on, just Taylor, just because I've seen him here and I've experienced it here, and then like just him in his house over the live stream, you know, it felt.
Yeah, it feels intimate, even though it's distant. And I mean, that's something that we've had, you know, with shows here. It's intimate. There ain't no way around that.
Yeah.
But it was also like really adorable to see his kid get involved and play shaker.
Yeah.
You know, before all this, I had a neighbor give me a 59 Hammond organ, and it's in storage, and I kept meaning to bring it to Taylor because he's going to put it in his studio down there, and he's like, you know, in standard Taylor fan, like yeah, Bo.
Yeah.
You know, I'll play that, but man, you know, Taylor, he always just blows my mind. From like, I saw a show, Broad Eye show at like a VFW hall, or it was something weird like that. Like maybe it was a Mason's Hall in Birmingham, like back in the early 2000s, and it was Macy Taylor, his like brother-in-law, and then Taylor Hollingsworth. Far too many Taylors. Because he's married to Kate Taylor.
Yeah.
And he was part of the backing band, and even, you know, things like that Better Oblivion Community Center album that came out that was Phoebe Bridgers and Connor Oberst. They covered one of Taylor Hollingsworth's songs.
Domino.
Yeah, man. That song is beautiful. Like, so, you know, it blows my mind the amount of people that I'm lucky enough to have spent time around. You know, I feel really lucky, and I'm glad that, you know, it's weird. There is some appreciation for Alabama music and people like Single Lock Records, things like that up in Florence.
Cornelius Chapel.
Yeah. You know, they're really doing a lot of work to make those bands, you know, well known, but still oftentimes there's so many good people that can just flow under the radar. And, you know, I feel Taylor's one of those people that deserves to have a bigger, especially as prolific as he's been and the different incarnations.
And that's what's crazy is like just after having him on the podcast, and I play Taylor's music more than any other artist on this show, is, you know, just the feedback and the response is like, that's the guy from Bright Eyes. That's the guy from Dixie Teens. That's the guy from, you know, I was
from Dead Fingers.
You probably know him from a lot of different things.
From the Sweet Dog Experience.
Yeah.
Freaking Sweet Dog, you know, the standard Hunter S. Thompson, Too Weird to Live, Too Strange to Die. Man, like, the first Sweet Dog Experience show was actually at me and my wife's wedding. We got married at the courthouse, and then just had a big party out at the lodge at B Branch between here and the past Cottondale a little bit before Colon. And yeah, it was just a fucking rock show, and it was so much fun. It was just Sweet Dog and Taylor, you know.
Yeah, just like he was here that night.
Yeah, man. The hell.
Holding it down.
Giving it the old community college try. Go Bucks. Best 5 years of my life, Shelton State.
Hey, year and a half. Hey, so you're not originally from Tuscaloosa, are you?
Not from Tuscaloosa proper. I'm originally from Birmingham. I was born in St. Vincent's, just a stone's throw from the Nick, so maybe that wafted over on me a little bit. But in third grade, we moved my family's, I don't mean it to sound bad, but kind of compound. Like the grandmother's house was on a hill.
Yeah.
And then it's aunt, you know, the house that I grew. Yeah. Out in the middle of just goat fart nowhere, Alabama. And so there wasn't a lot to do out there. So, you know, I was a kid out there, and I got really into, you know, early like grunge stuff, you know, and by that I mean 1993 when Nirvana filtered down to rural Alabama. I got into it, and then me and my buddies would listen to music, and as we got a little older, you know, my sister took me to New York so I could see it once, and then I came back with like an Ani DeFranco album called Living in Clip. And so me and my buddies would figure out all these weird fucking tunings and just play bizarro Ani DeFranco songs, which didn't really you know, nobody knew it until we got to college, and they're like, "Oh, you know both hands?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am."
Can do.
Bump, 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 bump.
Can do.
Can do. And so it was weird growing up that way because there was nothing really to do. Obviously, it was pre-internet. I was trying to tell somebody the story of, for a summer, I lived with my father in downtown Birmingham, and I worked at a coffee shop. And so I would go to Charlemagne Records and just buy something on spec with my tips. And then enjoy a little bit of the devil's lettuce when he was out doing whatever he was doing, and then just listen to records. And that's how I got into like Guided by Voices and a bunch of other things like that. And so that sort of helped me change. But it was before the internet. Like that was when you would buy something just, I think I've heard of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, yeah. I was just briefly, man, 16, 17, this was before, I'm rural Alabama. It's like we had internet and it was dial-up. It wasn't even worth getting.
Yeah, no. You'd start downloading a naughty picture and then you'd have to wake up before your parents.
Yeah, I remember when YouTube came out. Like if there was a video I wanted to watch, I'd wake up and try to buff it then, and maybe when I got home from school,
it would be good to go.
Yeah.
No, I'm familiar with that, and so your digestion of music was different. And that thing, and then when I remember getting my mom to bring me up here and drop me off around the corner from Vinyl Solution that was on the Strip at the time, and then I was so scared to go in there, like, because I was like, oh dude, these dudes are way cooler than I'll ever be. So I'd walk in and it's like, what do you have in Pavement? And then what's weird is it turns out I ended up meeting most of those guys when I got down here. Elliot McPherson from the Dex Teens was one of them. He worked there at the time. So did Matt Patton. Smiley Matt. Who's with the Truckers now, but obviously still with the Dex Teens. And then it turns out they're just salt of the earth people. I mean, it was just, kid shit back then of wanting so hard to feel connected, but also like it just seemed so cool to me that it was not that the people were making it weird. It was me, my own, doubts and being from Abernat, Bucksville.
Yeah, from that podunk. It's like,
I don't know. Am I wearing this right?
Yeah, I'm trying here, guys.
Yeah, I'm giving it the old college try. But anyway, that did a lot to really influence me. And after that, I got down here and I was waiting tables at the 15th Street Diner, and I met a guy named Paul Savio. And so we decided to start a band. We started a band called Chinese Dentist, which was a dumb joke from Mr. Show. Because this is also the time when Mr. Show wasn't fucking on demand. We had like VHS copies that somebody else had recorded off HBO.
Like those old Twilight Zones.
Yeah, exactly. Like I found a pile on the side of the road the other day that was a Nebraska National Championship game and then a collection of Sanford and Sons. And so I scooped them up because we still have a TV in there that plays VHS tapes. We got the name for a joke, and then sort of started playing, and we made a bunch of I met a lot of the people that were my heroes, like Elliot from the Dex Teens was in a band before that called the Phoebes, which was a really lo-fi punk rock band. And I remember parking, if I could park on a hill at my high school, I could get the VUA, the college rock station. And I remember hearing their song, Let's Go Satan. And I was like, oh, dude, these dudes are so cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Bitchin'.
Yeah.
And so, I did that and then worked a bunch of jobs. And then I started attending bar at Egan's. And right before that, I joined a really mathy, weird indie rock band here in town called Bakwai. And I played with them for a while, and that was a lot of fun. And then I sort of aged out of it. I was the only one that had like a mortgage and insurance.
Yeah.
And I was like,
welcome to adulthood.
Yeah, exactly. And then we did the Well That's Cool podcast, where we tried to support music, which is a whole long spill of itself. And then the brewery sort of spun out of that, like wanting to be a part of the community, like At the time, Tuscaloosa didn't have a brewery. I wanted to be another place to where musicians could play. And, we do brisk trade and a lot of Americana. But also we try to do, like I said, if we find it musically valuable.
Yeah, like Preacher Van, I know that Monk from Alt 1017, he put that on, helped y'all with that, finding them. But I thought that was incredible to have somebody from, Georgia to swing by. It's just a way through.
Yeah.
Hey, play a show. Play us.
Well, that's one of the things I think we got good at. And it took a lot of legwork. The bands would find out, okay, if I'm traveling from X to Y, Tuscaloosa's, if you're going from New Orleans to Birmingham to Nashville to anywhere, if you've got a Tuesday open, word has gotten around, hey, this is a good quality of life. They'll take good care of you. It's also an early show. Our shows start at 8.
Yeah.
We close at 10. Normally you don't even sound check until later than that. Unless you're one time when I was in Bakwa, and I'm sorry this is a side story, but I think it's kind of funny.
Go for it.
About every bigger band I've ever played with, 99% of the time are just salt of the earth. Like Chinese Dennis won this battle of the bands, one of the 2 bad ones, and so it was us, Better Than Ezra, and Collective Soul, right? I know, and this was 2006, maybe 2005.
This is wild, though.
Yeah, it was, and so I'm I met the Better Than Ezra. They were coming up, and I wanted to tell them about hey, I had this single that had this B-side called Circle of Friends, and they were kind of yeah, sure, whatever, kid.
Yeah.
So played our set, and then I came to the back, and I see a guy around a bus, and I think it's a roadie. I was who are you helping with? And he goes, I'm Ed. I'm from Collective Soul. Saw your buddies drink all your beer. I enjoyed your set. And he brought me a 6-pack of Tecate from his bus, and I was
Mexican beer.
Yeah, I was fuck it, man. Say what you will about fucking Collective Soul. That man remembers how much that means to him.
Yeah.
And so I'm always now I'm a dedicated Collective Soul defender. It's you know what? That was 90s rock, and they did a good job.
They were.
Piss off.
Yeah. You don't shit on that.
Once in Bakwa, we were doing this show at Zydeco, and it was Bear Jr., Bobby Bear Jr.
Yeah.
And the Walkman, and we were opening up. And so we were, sort of in awe.
I mean, how did all this work with y'all with the Chinese dentist and all that?
Well, the first show was Chinese Dentist. The next one was Bakwa.
Okay.
And I don't remember who booked us for that. It was a show put on by Camel. That was back when the cigarette people would come to the bar. I needed to let them scan your ID because you're fuck it, I'm drunk. Yeah. I need a pack of squares. And so, we were playing that show. And we were standing in the back. We had our little cooler of High Life. And somebody in the Waltman went and told security, there's some guys back here. And, we weren't bothering them. We weren't in their backstage area.
Yeah.
And then, so the security was hey,
we're out.
Y'all need to mind it. And he didn't kick us out because we had partied with, Bobby Bear Jr., nice guy. We had a lot of fun. Oddly enough, plays and got in my voices now. But we got so pissed. We played our show. And then as soon as the Waltman got on the stage, me and Snowden from Bakwa went backstage and drank all of their scotch and ate all of their sushi and then went to the Upside Down Plaza just on principle. Because I was come on, guys, we weren't even bothering you. At some point, you were the opening band. And that had to, just been happy to be there. Yeah. I think we got $100 for that show, yeah. But, it was more playing. So anyway, 9 times out of 10, people are just, they're people. They're nice folks.
Mm-hmm. What was the bar that you just named off in Birmingham?
The Plaza?
No, not the Plaza. It was
Zydeco?
Zydeco. I was happy about Roots Fest up here. It got canceled.
Yeah.
I lived down in Mobile for 6 years. It's this band called Red Clay Strays. I had a buddy of mine call me. Mm-hmm. And I was getting ready to leave Mobile. And what are you doing now? I'm just sitting at the house. Get out to Dolphin Island. You have to catch these guys, the Red Clay Strays. This is back in 2017.
Yeah.
Red hot. And they're just getting started. It's you can tell they were just getting started. Now it's 2020. These guys are red hot. They just they're playing Zydeco in July, middle of July. July in the teens, somewhere in that date. I am so glad that they're getting represented up here in North Alabama.
Yeah.
Right now, I think they're in Nebraska. But
well, I mean,
that's awesome. That
yeah. Well,
I love my Alabama folks getting out.
No, I do too. I love it when they have wings because, especially here in Tuscaloosa, one thing we ran into was that right when a band would get its feet under it.
Yeah.
One of the guys would graduate or take a job, and it, right when they were primed to do well, everything would fall apart. I mean, that's been, Gold Monica, Luxie, all these really good bands, and right now Tuscaloosa's a little low on bands.
They are. I'm waiting for the punch.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to swing back up. I mean, because we are here for that content. I mean, that's our MO. And so I'm waiting to do it too. I mean, it's still great to get, the people from Birmingham or to get, I'd love to get Brad from the day, to do a 13 Ghost. Best Alabama band name fucking ever.
Brad, if you're listening, get back from New York.
Yeah, come on. I know you ain't happy up there building shit, Brad. We love you. So, but also I want like a newer generation. I want to be that place that supports people when they start. I always said that about touring bands too. Like, if nobody takes the time to show them, like, hey guys, I know you've been doing this run of shows. That right now you're young enough, you don't have any responsibility, and if you make $50, that's good. But if you're playing a show with 3 other bands and you get a percentage of the door. I remember how that was, so I'm at least going to give you a guarantee. And, most of our shows are well attended, but occasionally on a Tuesday night, maybe it wasn't, but it's still a guarantee that you're going to be able to get somewhere else.
X amount.
Yeah, man. And that's why I've never pinned a show on, we pay a uniform guarantee and we don't charge a cover.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that's what's right for us. I mean, we're getting ready to transition to a slightly bigger room. But even then, I want to keep it cover-free unless, Mike Cooley wants to play here or some shit like that. Like, I got the chance to see him play a couple of times at 116, which is a really small room. One time, me and Tyler, that helps me book here, were there. And I put on a SantaCon in Florence because they kept talking about the SantaCon here. 100 people wandering around the bars in Tuscaloosa, and we made it a toy drive, so it wasn't just a bunch of drunk fucks.
Yeah.
It was, we're getting toys for, Turning Point, the domestic violence shelter.
Yeah.
And so I did one up there, and then at the end, I'm in this adult furry reindeer costume. And my buddy Tyler's in like an oversized Santa costume, and the guy running 116 at the time was like, hey, this redneck slipped in, and he doesn't like the fact that Cooley and them are being more social justice-y. I'm afraid he's going to take a swing at him. Will you stick around and be our security? I was like, dude, I'm
a reindeer.
Am I going to gore him to death with my felt antlers?
Yeah.
Like, also,
huge joke, guy.
Yeah, I'm an imported person, not important.
Yeah.
I'm from out of town. Are there not native Florentines that can take care of this?
Yeah.
So me and Tyler were like, yeah, and I was like, well, it'll be the greatest story if I got my ass kicked while wearing a reindeer costume.
Perfect.
And turns out the dude wandered off, but then one of my favorite pictures is me and Tyler as a reindeer in Santa with Mike Cooley with his arms around us. And I'm like, let's bring a tear to a glass eye. But, I would like to be able to do bigger shows that maybe there has to be a tiny cover. Like, I look at music as break even.
Okay.
I know I'm going to lose money on a show or two. Once again, if it's a Monday or Tuesday night and it's a touring band that nobody's heard of. But also, I know that there are people that I'm going to make money on. Mm-hmm. And so, as long as I don't lose money all the time, I look at it as a success.
Absolutely. And so just back to the founding of the brewery, just early stages, what did that look like? Was it craft beer at the house, or what did it look like to acquire in this building?
Well, it was weird. We looked around, me and my business partner, Elliot Roberts. We decided we were going to start it. We had been homebrewing in the driveway is just, sort of dude hanging out things. And we eventually found a guy that owns the shopping center we're in now named Mr. Monfort. And he ended up being a really forward-thinking guy. When the facility we're in now, it was a dirt floor. And there was 9 million bicycles back here because the cycle path used to be across the street. And
shit, okay. Yeah. It's hot.
Just dang.
The devils of rock and roll are here.
Yeah, they are. We didn't know what we were doing. We had never worked at any commercial or brewery, and we were just kind of taking it by the seat of our pants. But another one of our things was like, hey, so many people that we know that are creative, that are forward thinking, that are, really the parts of Alabama that we're proud of, leave because there's not the quality of life in Tuscaloosa. So we wanted to do this so that there was, hey, if these guys can open up this, and it's sort of a progressive, musical-oriented, arts kind of thing, then maybe my idea will stick too. And that it would keep people around. People always say, Tuscaloosa and Athens or Austin, and I don't want it to be. I want it to be Tuscaloosa.
Damn right.
But I want it to find its own footing and get away from the, quote-unquote, just Old South business. And not that there's anything wrong with anybody that's in a fraternity, but not just that culture.
Yeah.
Like, I want us to develop our own culture because there's a lot of things that if we give it water and we show it care, it's going to grow.
Absolutely. And that's just one thing, man. Like, most of my 20s was spent down in Mobile, and when I moved back, this is one of the first places that folks told me about. It's like, Alan, this is where you're going to be. This is where your old people are.
Yeah.
They love music and they love craft beer.
Yeah.
And I go there and like just the culture that you're talking about established. It's established.
Yeah. No, we are really lucky, and I'd say we're lucky, but it took a little legwork. Like you have to.
Yeah.
You have to stick with
overnight,
it.
Right?
Yeah. Well, something like our open mic night. We just had a merger with Straight Ale out of Huntsville. And it was something that was, caused a lot of consternation in the scene. But the thing was, it was too much work. My business partner had a full-time job, which took a lot of time. And I was afraid. The thing that we agreed to with them is that we get their grain prices, which is like a third of what we're paying. We get somebody in an office that they tell us how much the taxes are, and then we mail a check, so I don't have to
figure it all out.
Yeah. And so, but that saves me so much time. But the thing we really wanted was to be autonomous and be able to do our own thing, and that's something that they were like, no, we don't want another Straight to L. We want you to be able to do. You're the reason we want to help you, and I think that you're a good part of it. So it's actually, that's why it's a partnership instead of like a buyout. Like I still make every call, like every check to every band or every tax or everything still comes out of here. It's not just coming out of there. Mm-hmm. But it gave me a little bit of a respite to be able to like focus on everything, because I felt like I was burning the candles on both ends and the middle for a hot minute there. It was just too much to absorb. So doing that partnership, I think it's going to. Luckily, it really got its wheels under right before COVID.
Yeah.
But they were also somebody that I just called up and goes, "Hey, we're going to pay bands to play on our Facebook," and they're like, "If that's what you think you need to do
it."
Yeah. And that's the good thing about that support. And also they're able to can our beer for the rest of the state, and that our 1,400 square foot that we find ourselves in, there's just no real estate to have that. But as the new room, it's not like we're going to be, the Palisades or anything. It's going to be about 4,000 square feet. We will have more than one restroom. So, that'll be a plus.
Right. And I know it's still in the making, but to answer some of Monk's questions about the upcoming party, because I know it's going to be, like, if you could if you could project who's going to be playing there, that
Oh man, that's going to be tough with some people, but there's going to be, some people that we've talked about earlier for sure are going to be there. I mean, it comes into their time. I think we're lucky enough that they all want to do it and have been proud of what we've done. But it's going to be a fucking rock spectacle of Alabama and Southern music that we're proud of. Mm-hmm. And we're going to, really go above and beyond to do it right and to make Tuscaloosa proud. Because, once again, that's our whole MO. Like, Tuscaloosa and the South in general, more of a grandiose statement. There's so much good. And, I think the drive-by trucker said it best that, racism's been a problem everywhere. It just sounds better with a Southern accent.
Yeah.
Alabama's not going to be exactly where I want it to be. Probably not before I shuffle off this mortal coil.
Probably not me either.
But I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I want it to be better. And I think if we keep moving forward on what we're doing, both arts, both in racism and coming to terms with a lot of our past, I think there's real potential because there's so much good. It's the one thing that used to piss me off is people that would go to school here and then they'd graduate and move off to, and I want to say this, and I'm just using it as an example, they'd be in Maine.
Yeah.
And then they would, sit on that, Northern Ivory Tower and go, ha ha ha, look at these guys, and it's like, hey man, you've been here. You've seen that there are people that are trying to accentuate the positive parts of Alabama. Like, why don't you
bring the change?
Why don't you get on Susan Collins' nuts for voting for Kavanaugh or something or support people that are trying to affect positive change. And I don't like to get political. That I'll leave that to Baines.
Yeah.
God bless him, one of my favorite humans. But, also, if we're just stuck in a loop, we're never going to learn, we're never going to get better. And I want to see Alabama as a whole, Tuscaloosa as a community get better, So that's, one of my overarching goals. Like I said, it's not going to be there before I shuffle off. But I hope if my daughter decides to stay here, I'd sort of like it if she saw some other things, but then I want her to always feel like this is home, but I want it to be a home that she's proud of.
That's it. And I know, like, when I came back from Mobile, it just goes back to that. It's like, this is a place that I'm damn proud of for what you've been talking about. It's like, it's a mecca scene for this. I know there are places on the strip for those bands to go play, but, like, to me, like, this is...
Well, there's not that many.
This is ground
especially,
zero.
We and I even play in one now, but we're no cover bands. Like, I play quarterly in a really it's a fun band called Believe It or Yacht. That's a yacht rock band based out of Florence.
Yeah,
and it took me a little while to come to terms with it because I used to be like a never cover band guy.
Yeah,
and I had to take off my cool to realize, okay, every band I've been in, I've been emotionally connected some way. Not that I wrote the songs, but I was there while they were being written.
Yeah.
I was there during all these parts and, went through some of the emotional roller coaster that some of the gifted songwriters that I had a chance to hang out with went through. And then I was like, man, this is just kind of fun. And nobody coming to a yacht rock show, they're looking for pina coladas and the fucking dance and have fun. But also, since it's based in Florence, there's some amazing musicians. Oh man, sorry, I had a beer burp. Luckily, we're at a brewery, so that's excusable.
Yeah.
Like Todd Bean, one of our guitar players, he played in Lucero for several years. Like all these cats up there are just amazing musicians, and I get a chance to we all take off our cool and just do something. But for the most part, there's a lot of places if you're a cover band you can play.
Yeah.
We really want to focus
on real.
Yeah, original music.
Yeah.
And I think we've had one cover band, and it was a Replacements cover band. And I was
I can't fault you there.
Yeah. If you're going that obscure, Man.
Totally on it.
Yeah, roll tide.
Yeah. All over that.
Yeah.
For that. But yeah, so just like transitioning toward the new building and on top of distribution, like Druid City Brewing is going to be distributed now. Like you can.
Yeah. We're already in every part of the great state of Alabama. We're down in Mobile. We're all the way up to it's pretty much from the shoals to the coast. Doing that, but that's also through that partnership that we're able to, take advantage of. But also the new building, right now we're in 1,400 square feet. Mm-hmm. That's with the tap room and the brewery. We have one bathroom that's a one shot.
Yeah.
It just got to where we needed to grow a little bit, but also like, I don't want a big fancy place. I just want it to be like, more to where we can elbow around a little bit. So we're actually just moving across the parking lot. We're going to have a tiny kitchen that's going to do a little bit of food, but that's
I'm
also
excited about that.
That's also going to be a labor of love. Like, once again, I think we can break even on food, much like music. We can give people something to eat and something they're proud of, and try to source some things locally, through Snow's Bend and places like that. Then it's going to give and it's a feedback loop of good. It's not like the bad Ouroboros of like a snake eating itself. It's one of those things that you want to form that of community supporting community.
Absolutely.
Work more in lockstep with Oz Music. That's one of the last record stores here in town. Also, Guitar Gallery. It's like independently owned tiny music store that my first guitar I ever bought.
All this equipment, this Focusrite, this mic, all that. I could have went to Sweetwater and got it myself.
Yeah.
I got it through them.
Yeah, so do we for our PA speakers, our heads. Like, I might be able to save, but what's weird is you might save $1.
Yeah, because they're going to give you a damn good deal.
Yes.
They're not going to fool you over.
No, and it's supporting brick and mortar, which is big to us, so... we love the guys, at Guitar Gallery, Dan and Scott that own it. And then it's trickle down. You brought up Jameson earlier, Jameson and Brantley. Both work there. Brantley, amazing musician.
Yes.
Man, his songs will bring a tear to a glass eye. JMO, his father was actually, this is what we call Jameson.
JMO?
Was my ninth grade history teacher at Brookwood.
Is that right?
I know, tiny world. But man, the amount of stuff that he's even taught me, I'd always played percussion stuff in bands, but I've always fiddled with guitar.
And that's another thing about Guitar Gallery is I like going and talking to those two cats, about like, this is what I'm trying to do. And they'd be like, oh, okay. They're knowledgeable,
Yeah, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
So, we're lucky in that regard. And we've tried to do things also for the community, like, hey, on Saturdays, we're going to have free barbecue.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that
was 2 or 3 weekends ago.
Yeah. It was it's good for the guys that work here with me that help me out.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, let's just stand around and drink beer. Almost like the alley scene from King of the Hill. And like, but occasionally you need to adjust a vent like 1/4 of an inch. You really don't. But you can stand around and go, yep. and have some fun with your buddies. So, also the food scene. I've really been lucky to meet like Rodney Scott and my mind's blanking on him, but he was a really cool dude from the Southern Foodways Alliance and a bunch of that. And so it's always got me thinking about how to support, not just music and obviously local beer, which we love, but also supporting some of these people that are trying to get back to what, not the Megalomart way, to make another King of the Hill statement.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the same thing since the whole quarantine thing. It's like I've just been trying to like use my funds and everything that I have to support those businesses, that like to support, because I have a couple of my business owner friends. They weren't able to reopen. Mm-hmm. They had to pick a new path.
Well, yeah, because we were lucky enough and provided a product that people still wanted, right? Not that people didn't want anything, but we were lucky enough to have gratiated ourselves so much with the community here that people would take time out of their day to drive by and let us run beer out to the back of their car.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not from here. I drive to be here. I drive 45 minutes to be here, and it's like, this is definitely something
even
I'm
our
going
friends
to do.
that run the comic book store on the other side.
Yeah.
And the tabletop gaming store. I mean, I just told you about our nerd nights of playing D&D for team building.
It's a team building exercise, okay?
Yeah. That's what I tell my wife. We're definitely not just sitting around drinking beer and talking dumb shit. But, they weren't able to make it. They were already in such a margin small, economy. And we also were blessed with people. We started a Venmo because people kept asking me. I wasn't going to do it. For our staff. And our staff was able to completely weather everything and are now back to working. I mean, we're only doing patio only. We're still not opening up the inside. But I think one thing the COVID is going to teach people is that it's making them learn new ways to do business. I don't think curbside's going to go away. Even after all this, because of the convenience and all that. So I think we're still going to be dealing with that.
Yeah.
So, it's, just trying to make the parts of Alabama, I think, that I'm proud of, proud. And to not let the stereotype that people, because we even get some of that of people coming through here.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we're not all, rebel flag waving.
Rednecks.
Yeah. There's, I might be a community college dropout, but I've done a lot of reading.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I feel like I'm over the top, but I just want to show that there is so many good things that get drowned out. There's so many good things about the South in general that get drowned out. And there's so many people that are trying to do cool things. There are people, once again, that help us. I know I've said his name 3 times, but old Leonard Baines, God bless his heart, or the Williamson brothers that are his rhythm section. Did you get a chance to see the Black Willis show?
Have not.
They did the Quarantunes, and it's Blake and Adam, his drummer and bass, but they were in a band called Vesper when I first met them in 2002. And Matt Patton was their bass player.
Nice.
I know Matt Patton's just
everywhere, isn't he? Yeah.
It's
kind of like
smiling Muppet of bass.
Yeah, Taylor again. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it all pops up. And so,
And I guess that's the thing about our music scene, like the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. It's like, hey, don't forget about us now. Don't sleep on us.
Yeah, don't. I mean, there's so much good. And, I can't wait to get back. Like,
I'm so ready, man.
Yeah, me and Tyler were talking about it. Like, we want to double down on this play because sometimes I think that you need to. And I think people are going to be, when it gets safe for people to come back out. Like, Brantley and Jameson's band, Squat, is going to do a Quarantunes on Thursday.
Definitely.
And I don't know when this is going to come out, so.
It will be Wednesday.
Okay. They'll be doing it, but we're going to clear everything out, and they're going to play a show back here. Yeah, back
as
here.
As it would be.
Yeah, as it would be for them. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to keep gauging it. Numbers are so squirrely right now.
They are.
Like, I just feel bad booking a band and then not knowing if we'll have it. But if we decide not to, then we're going to extend the Quarantunes because I think, people want music and these musicians need gigs, especially those that's how they make their living. We had a great guy, Asa Harris, play this past week. He has a job, but he's one of my favorite musicians. And he was like, I want you to just donate the money. He didn't want it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about the whole quarantine right now. It's like when I'm talking to my musician friends and like having them on the podcast and like just trying to like make giving or Venmo or PayPal more lucrative for them, it's like, hey, it's okay. You know, that there are bigger horses to get after right now.
Well, no, I mean, and that's the thing. You know, like Blake and Adam from Lee's band, from the Glory Fires. Mm-hmm. You know, Lee, through no fault of his own, and not that I know Lee personally very well. I know he's going to take care, much like I took care of my people. I know he's going to help them, but they might not have the megaphone that Lee playing a solo, you know, streaming show to where people can Venmo and tip and all that. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I really wanted to get those guys on. And it's like a searing Southern rock set of like...
Yeah, if you don't know Lee Band and the Glory Fires, there's your plug.
Yeah, there's your thing. He's the most friendly, hydrated man in rock and roll. You know, the first time I remember meeting Lee was at City Stages, way back in the day, and the Dexteens were playing. And they were playing early in the day, and the Flaming Lips were playing later. So, you know, it was extra weird.
Yeah.
But I remember Elliot McPherson walking out.
Devil's Lettuce included.
Yes. Very much so. Maybe psychotropics. But I remember Elliot walking out, and this guy with him, and I didn't recognize him at the time. And it was Lee. It was when Lee was still in the band. He goes, "Well, howdy, Bo. How the hell are you doing?" And I was like, shit, where do I know this guy?
Yeah.
And his band, Arkadelphia, had played at Egan's when I'd been working.
Yeah.
And so we'd become...
Was that the Arcade Fire type of sound you were talking about?
No, that was Squirrel House.
Okay.
That was where they were a Tuscaloosa band. Arkadelphia was not in the vein of Dexteens, but close.
Yeah.
They were kissing cousins.
Okay.
His first band, and then the first album, There's a Bomb in Gilead, has Justin Colburn playing bass, which was in Arkadelphia with him. Anyway, I could build a family tree of a lot of cousins and
yeah. All right, well let's move on to the wonderful world of barbecue.
I've got hot takes.
Hot takes, dude. I'm a huge barbecue connoisseur. What region of the country makes the best barbecue?
Oh man,
I'm a Memphis guy.
Well, you know, I think they do good. Man, that's such a loaded question because
Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, I've just been on a quest to learn
the Carolinas.
Yeah, a lot of I like a more vinegary sauce, which is not, that's not a Memphis sauce. It's. Sort of hyper specific to, different. North Carolina has a real vinegary sauce. It's basically vinegar and red pepper flakes.
When I think
black
vinegar,
pepper.
I think the Carolinas.
Yeah. And so, but also there's something like Archibald's here in town, which has a real vinegar forward sauce that's a little thinner. Man, it's so tough. I've learned so much. I like it all. I think... For me, I mean, and it's, I think, rooting for the home team, but I think it's a little bit more Southern barbecue, Alabama based, but I don't like sweet sauces. I think that can be overplayed. I also think that something like barbecue can be, there's no right or wrong answer. Like, it's what you like. I think a lot of it's in how you cook it. Like, because you can do barbecue that doesn't need a sauce.
You can.
That's something that I've been moving forward to. And also, I've been moving forward to simplification. Like, I used to make a really intense rub that was like, it's this much brown sugar, this much chili powder, and this much salt. And then I had a buddy... And before we were taping, I was talking, he built me a Santa Maria cooker, which is a style that's indicative of California, where they mostly do beef. But their rub is pretty much, it's called a Dalmatian rub. It's salt and pepper with a little bit of garlic powder and maybe a tiny bit of cayenne. But I've transitioned over to applying that not just to beef, but to my ribs and my butts, because I think I want to season it well, but I want the meat to be the show. I don't want to outkick my coverage. I don't want to J.K. Scott it.
Absolutely. God bless you, J.K. and all your work.
Oh, God. He prayed with me once at a Nothing But Noodles in Tuscaloosa, and it was the weirdest thing that I've ever been in.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I saw him coming through the line, and I never talk to football players because they get, pestered all the time.
Yeah.
And I saw him coming through, and I was there with my wife and her friend, Soapy Jones, that owns Left Hand Soap Company here in town. They had been friends since way back in the day.
Good plug.
Yeah. Great locally owned company. They made sanitizer for the school system and the hospitals when nobody could get it. So, I've got to give them super props. But they also, I was like, oh, I shouldn't say anything. And then I was like, excuse me, JK. I just want to go. It's such a joy watching you. You punt the hell out of the ball. I haven't been this much of a fan of a punter since Lane Bearden made a tackle with no ACL.
Hats off.
Yeah.
To the heart.
To the heart immediately. And he was like, oh, well, thank you. And then I was like, oh, well, that was nice. We go back to eating. And then he comes over and goes, excuse me, can I pray with your table? And then Becky and Soapy were pretty much like, it's not really our thing. And I was like, hey, I started this.
Yeah,
cool.
Let's go through it.
Yeah, I'll go over to your table.
Yeah.
And then I went over there, and the guy that rang him up and me, and then J.K. Scott laid hands on us.
Yeah.
And then witnessed to us for about 10 minutes in between God and everybody at the Nothing But Noodles. It was the most surreal thing.
Absolutely.
And then I was like, yeah, that's why.
Well, hats off to JK.
No. I mean, and he was earnest. He wasn't pushy. He really wanted to do that. Like, yeah, man. Like, I'm not bashing the man for showing his beliefs, and especially in a considerate way, and all that. Like, that is not what I'm saying. It was just like, I was not prepared for that.
You did not think that conversation was going to lead to that.
So, I find barbecue as a way to sort of decompress and to get away from a lot of the stresses that's just small business ownership, right? And I have a lot of...
to step outside the brewery, right?
Yeah, just a way to, sort of get away from it for a hot second. And I've learned so much. I had a buddy named Jacob that I met through him coming here for football games. And then we became really lifelong friends, and then we just poured ourselves into it. We went from having, the shittiest vertical smoker to, somehow dumb lucking our way into a really beautiful smoker that was made here in Tuscaloosa. And yeah, we just like to cook when we can, and I think it also, on a Saturday, like, hey, let's cook, and then people that come in can have something to eat. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's beautiful, but it's also not completely altruistic. Like, people that eat are going to have more beers.
True, because they can hold more beers.
Yeah. And so it's something, and then just getting fascinated about the science of it. Like, we were outside earlier talking, and I was talking about an article I read about the stall when you're doing pulled pork, and how that's evaporation and all these sciencey things. And that just triggers something that's still a learning thing in my mind. So, every time I cook, I learn something new. I've gotten to cook with a lot of really smart people that have taught me a lot. And so, it's something that we do for fun. And I think even when we have the kitchen and the new facility, like one night a week, I just want to give the staff off, and it'll be like $1 pork sliders or something like that. Yeah. That it's just like, hey, like, come in.
Have a sandwich with it.
Yeah, have one of those. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but there's a hero in Tuscaloosa that goes around to bars at about the midnight hour. Mr. T.
Over at the what's Luce's sister bar? Is it the Gray Lady?
No, Alcove.
Alcove.
But the Gray Lady too.
I bought Yeah, I bought a sandwich.
And it's a
from him.
life-changing sandwich if you're buying it at that time.
It definitely is. Yes, it was like 1 a.m.
Yeah. I was like, I need, yes.
Yeah.
And so Mr.
And
T.
like, I didn't know what to make of it at first. Like, to
Yeah.
get people, if you're ever having a drinking experience here in Tuscaloosa and like this guy approaches you about having a sandwich, take it.
Yes, take it. Mr. T does good work. He's an African American gentleman that looks fly as fuck.
Yeah.
And
He's
the
got
sandwich,
this cooler full of sandwiches.
yeah, just a commando bag of sandwiches that's ready to satiate the people that need it. So that's sort
It's
of
more convenient than Waffle House.
I know, right? Like, hell yes, you can have 4 right now.
Yeah. 2, please.
2.
I'm buying one for her.
Yes.
And for him.
Yes. Fuck it. Why not? And so, I don't know. I don't pretend to be a master of barbecue. We do some competitions, but that's more of a thing for me and the guys that help me here.
Yeah.
To have something to like, hey guys, let's do something out of the brewery. Like, let's bond a little bit. Let's listen to some like fucking Bob Seger.
Hell yeah. Get them Hollywood nights going.
Yeah. Brings a tear to a glass eye every time. Or some Marshall Tucker band, So, yeah. I always say my buddy Ronnie Lee Gibson, Little Bo, that's in about 500 bands, looks like he used to be a fucking roadie for Marshall Tucker band. And he always has a different shitty piece of PV equipment. Every band I've ever been in it's like his van just generates them. And they always sound and they always sound like a wet fart during sound check. And then he'll hit them like twice, and by the time the show starts, it sounds like Grand Funk Railroad, like tone playing. It's like, fucking hey.
I don't know why you got that out of me.
Yeah, it's like, all right, yeah, that Mississippi Marshall's doing you well.
My first amplifier was the PV, and right after I started playing with other people who played with electric guitars and amplifiers, and they were playing Fenders and Marshalls, and I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot.
But were you?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
But there is a sound that you can get out of a PV.
Yeah.
That you can't find anywhere else.
And sometimes that shit's indestructible. Like, you can drop it off the side of a mountain. Yeah, it still sounds right.
That's right there underneath you.
So, that's what, in a minute. That's one of the things about barbecue, and I think it's also such a linchpin of community, Even before I knew, when I was a kid, before I knew about, Southern Foodways, all this great stuff. I have a really weird memory of helping a cousin move, and then my family, and 2 different trucks, and there'd be 4 people in the back of the trucks going to the original Dreamland and getting a sandwich, and I was like 10, maybe. I don't know. I have to check the date of the next reference. But then I remembered we all decided we were going to go see Total Recall. And I was just at the age that the 3-boobed woman just gave me, it was just a wondrous new vision of,
So bizarre.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 11 and I'm confused, but I just ate all this barbecue. And so, but also things like the churches and the fire departments doing like Boston butt sales and having pulled pork. And, I got more of that. The pulled pork being like, hey, this is something that you can eat and do up yourself. And whether if it's your aunt that takes, shitty Kraft barbecue sauce and squeezes 2 lemons into it and then puts it on the can, or if it's, something that's different. It's more about barbecue is a lot about community.
That's the thing, man. It kind of builds right into this culture.
Yeah, and so I think that's why we gravitated towards it naturally.
Yeah,
is having it just seemed like a natural fit. Like, we're already trying to build an inclusive community. We're already trying to support original music. We're trying to do things with the MFA program about reading. Not just reading, readings to where people would read their poetry and stuff. We would put it back here because, and just for y'all at home, we're in the brewery itself, which is a different room than the tap room. And that way people could sit here and listen, but also people wouldn't be ordering beers and stepping on it. I mean, the same with comedy. Like, we want people to be able to do comedy, but without, people stepping all over, their set. So,
away from the bar.
yeah, get it away, because also I don't want people that are here just to drink and hang out with their friends to feel like they're being...
Yeah, it's like, I gotta listen to this. And
Yeah.
For this.
I mean, I just came here to have a couple of Coltons.
Yeah.
So, everything has been a learning experience. I mean, like life, like it should be, is that, you figure out what's going on and then you try to make the best of it. So that's how barbecue basically fit in, was like, hey man, let's do this on weekends. Let's give it a shot. It'll be something that'll be fun. And, it's almost the same as paying bands. Like, yes, you're not selling it, but also more people are going to come here and support it. Mm-hmm. We also always make sure that we have vegetarian options.
Hell yeah.
Because, sometimes that's something that people that have chosen that, like, if they go to a bar cookout, there's never anything for them. So we try to keep...
we only got bread.
Yeah.
Great.
And yes, we try to do corn on the cob and Beyond sausages or something like that.
Tell a little bit about that damn cabbage, man.
Man, so this is the first time we've done it. So you get some cabbage, preferably from a local farmer, and where the stem is, you cut it out in like a cone. You pull that out, you shake some Cajun seasoning in it, whatever's your favorite, and then you just jam a whole stick of butter.
Right in the ass.
Right in the ass, like
butt stuff.
Yes, but like, it's an aggressive play. And then what I found this past weekend is we had 2 big heads of cabbage. We did that. I let it run in the cooker for about an hour, and then I just tinted it with aluminum foil, and the cabbage just basically falls apart, and that whole stick of butter and that Cajun seasoning permeates everything, and then it's just such a beautiful side item. Like to have like something as simple as a couple of heads of cabbage can feed so many people, and that's
and to me, like cabbage, man, it's almost like that side item that could be taken for the main course.
Yeah,
if it's done right.
It's done right, or when you get to that point, like we're about to be. I have people with squash coming out their ears right now. So you get an aluminum pan, you dice up your squash in little slices, and then a couple of Vidalia onions. Put half a stick of butter in it and just put it in your cooker or smoker.
Yeah.
Let it think about what it's done for a couple hours. They'll get all soft, and then you just mix in approximately a half cup of Parmesan, a cup of cheddar, and half cup of sour cream. Stir it all up, and then just crunch up some Ritz crackers on top and slide it back into your cooker, and then it'll just start bubbling, and it'll be delicious. And so there's ways to make side items and stuff like that, which has been a fun thing to experiment with. Like, it doesn't just have to be meat sweats.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more. And dude, it's not paid advertisement, but damn it should be. Frito-Lay, you damn pickled Doritos.
So I had to go buy pipe cleaners for my daughter for something at a Family Dollar, and so I'm sitting in line wearing my mask, being a good human and shit. And then I just look over, and it's just me and this bag of sparkly pipe cleaners.
Here we go, full disclosure. Right.
And then, the line's pretty big, and they're like, why is this, 40-year-old silver-bearded, portly dude that looks like a personified Hershey's Kiss with shower hair glued on him fucking buying pipe cleaners? And I was like,
now he's eyeballing these Doritos.
Yeah, he must be high. So I grabbed that bag, and then I ate one on the way home, and I was like, oh, these are good. And the next day, I've been trying to walk my big butt, 5 to 7 miles a day. I just get out. It's amazing how much feet are connected to your head a lot of times. It's a really great way to deal with stress. It's a really great way to like just get your head right. And so
I found my greatest thinking and my greatest music listening to be had on walks.
Yeah. And it's not like you need to set a land speed record, but I walk like I'm moderately late.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just does.
College effort.
Yeah, it does so much for my noodle. And so on that walk at one point, I was like, holy shit, wait. What if we use these tangy pickled Doritos?
I saw that
barbecue
tweet.
Nachos.
I saw that tweet, and I went to the quickest barbecue I could find and bought those chips. And I was like, I'm about to have a party right here in the house. And it was a party worth having.
Yes, because it's like, okay, this is like a barbecue sandwich. Or like ultimate stoner food.
That's another tale of the tape.
Now, that's not my bag anymore, and I'm not just saying that for the thing. I mean, I don't dissuade anybody from like, hey man, you be you, whatever we can do to get through these troubled times. But I was like, oh my God, I had a vision. I was like the angel
have come down.
The angel of Guy Fieri.
Flavor Town. I'm about to take you to a place.
Yes. So yeah, man, that was, and it turned out to be fun. It was fun to market it. Like, hey guys, we're doing this crazy thing. I mean, and also, I want people to know that we are being, cognizant and really smart. That's why we're doing just patio only, and
yeah,
while we're encouraging that, like, we don't feel like this is ended for us, and it's not going to be ended for a little while, but we also realize that sometimes the mental well-being of being able to do it safely and away from people, at least on a patio, and or curbside, was something that was worth doing. So all jokes aside, like, man, like, be safe guys, let's get these numbers down, because if there's not football,
what are we gonna do?
Yeah, man, my fall
we got to give Nick Saban an ass to get in.
For the first time, I always tell people my first memory of Alabama football. I'm 40 years old. I was born in 1979 in October. Was the Van Tiffen kick.
Oh.
In 1986, I remember running around. I was at a party with my parents. And I was running around, and there's a bunch of other kids, and then I came in, and everybody was just like, you could feel the collective asses being clenched in the room. And this is back when TVs were like,
oh yeah,
a piece of furniture, like a console TV,
oh, yeah.
the wood paneling.
Yeah.
And so I laid down on the ground, and I watched it, and then they, Van Tiffen kicked that field goal, and we beat Auburn. And so ever since then, I've been a dedicated Alabama fan of like knowing rosters. And
oh yeah, I've got a friend, he's an Auburn fan, and I can't tell you, he has made 3 of my so-called Alabama friends cry at night because he knew the depth chart better than they did.
Yeah, you got to do the legwork. One thing, before I started this full time, I had more. What's weird is I had more time that I'd be in front of a computer doing my job. And I had more time, and I'll just dot over to, like, every day should be Saturday or some other, like,
24/7 or whatever.
Yeah. And then, now that I'm doing this full time, like, I realize that I don't have as much time. It's like my dad bath time is when I do it. Like, oh, guys, I need to go get clean.
Yeah.
And that's like my hour of zen, where I'll either play video games, catch up on news, listen to artists. Question for you: have you listened to the new Phoebe Bridgers album?
Have not, dude.
I know she's not like Southern or anything, but I've been really proud of that one.
You're not the first person to ask me about it. I've got to get on that. I've been like Cornelius Chapel. I want to plug them again. They put out People Years and like I'm going blank on some of the things that they've dropped
Well,
since
also-
the quarantine. They've been on fire lately.
They have. I mean, and you have to double down on that, I think, at this point. I mean, much like us doubling down on, like, hey, we're going to support it. Like, hey, now is the time that people are ready to listen to music. I mean...
And Will Stewart's been on it.
Oh, man, Will's an awesome dude. So, Will, back in the day, was in a band called the Dancing Outlaws.
Tell me about this.
Okay, it was him and Bo Hicks. That was from the Hipsies, and is now, I think he's in Nashville doing some stuff. Phenomenal guitar player.
He is.
But Will is the friendliest motherfucker that I've ever met. Smart as a whip. And, man, we had a running thing for a little while. Chinese Dentist held the record for the most money at the door at the booth when the booth was on the strip.
Yeah.
And then they one-upped us, and then we were like, oh, that's home cooking. But they did a bunch of alt country covers at that time.
Yeah.
But Will's music right now is on a different level.
It's never been better.
No, it's on a different level, and it's somebody that we had talked to about trying to come down, because I mean he's still, even though he gets platitudes and everything, still one of the friendliest dudes I've ever met. And his Twitter is worth a follow.
There you
because
go. Plugs.
He's an hilarious human, and no, man, his music. I hope to get him here soon. You know, maybe he'll still cool guys if he gets big. But you know, in Cornelius Chapel, Austin Lucas, who has come through here a couple of times from Indiana. But also, when I first saw him, he was opening for Lee Baines at the Green Bar, and it was just him and a guitar. And he came out and just put on the show that just, like, I remember standing there, and it was like when I was 15 and saw Ben Harper at 5 Points Music Hall, and I was real high when I saw Ben Harper.
That's the only way to see Ben Harper.
Yeah.
Burn one down.
I felt like I was a sheet in the wind for another lonely day. I feel you, man.
I'm right there.
Yeah, I'm there, man. And so I remember seeing him, and it just spoke to me. And so him being on the label, you know, Elliot McPherson's involvement in that. Is it some of the guys in Vulture Well? I forget who else is involved in that, but you know, the whole Vulture Well, Wes McDonald, and like all those cats out of Birmingham that have been doing it for so long. Like when I saw Pavement at 5 Points Music Hall, I think there's a band called Verbena. And there was a Birmingham-based band that I think Wes was in. But also, I was young and really high, so
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
memory.
It's not there.
Yeah, voices carry. As Amy Mann once said.
Well, man, you ready to walk this thing on out the door?
Yeah, let's go ahead and walk it, man. I gotta go deal with some other brewery stuff, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I'm sorry if I've rambled enough.
No, thank you for taking the time, man. Like I said, this is a special place in Tuscaloosa for me, man. It's huge appreciation for what you do, not just the beer, but just for your appreciation and love for music, and just love for community.
Well, no, and that means a lot to me, and that's, I mean, once again, I'm super proud of the beer we make, but also I'm super proud of the community that we have here that goes above and beyond and amazes me every day. We're lucky to have that, and once again, we're in it to win it, to make Tuscaloosa proud.
There you go.
And we ain't gonna fucking change. Ain't never gonna change.
No plans on it.
As them truckers once said. You know, Shauna's come down here and played a couple of times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was always kind of like, I met her when she was still with the truckers at the Bama Theater.
Yeah, there's never been a band that worked harder than them.
Yeah.
Like, when are they not on tour?
Yeah, well, now.
Yeah. It was like the first time in its history, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, like I said, you know, and those guys, you know, I didn't get into the truckers. I know this is B-roll material until a little bit later. You know, I didn't get into them right when Southern Rock Opera came out.
I got into them like 2 years, and then Isbell left. That's my timeline with them.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I
then
remember
you got so much to go back on, and now you have so much to listen to now.
No,
because they've been at it forever. It seems
yes, it does. You know, that's weird because a lot of my songs are still. You know, I met Jason.
Was it for the bicentennial?
No.
Before
this
that?
was right when he left the Truckers.
Okay.
At Egan's.
Whoa.
So he had come in. He had just left the Truckers, or got asked to leave. Don't know the story.
Yeah.
Not my circus, not my monkey.
Yeah. Not gonna try it.
Yeah. And so he had left, and it's a Saturday at Egan's, and there wasn't nobody there. There's this guy named Roger that looked like literally the personified version of Mo Sizlak sitting at the bar, and then Jason Isbell walked in, and I sort of knew who he was, but I didn't. And he was playing at Galette's.
What?
The super fraternity base bar, but the guy that managed Galette's at the time loved
His music.
Yeah. And so he was playing down there. And so we sat around and we drank Budweisers and did some shots and listened to old country music.
Yeah.
And it was a hell-raising time. And so then the Oxford American did the Year of Alabama Music. And they did a show at the Bama Theater. Mm-hmm. And Jason was playing, and I remember looking up to him and going, hey, Jason, you might not remember me, but we partied at Egan's this day. Yada, yada, yada. And he was still perfectly nice, but it sort of looked like he was distancing himself.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's weird. And then St. Paul and the Broken Bones are playing at the amphitheater in Ben Tanner from 160.
And also Jason's brother plays in that band. Don't he play bass in St. Paul's band?
Does he? I didn't know Jason had a brother.
Somebody's brother plays in, yeah.
No, because the guy that plays bass in it it's not the bass. It could be somebody else. It could be like a piano player. I'm not sure, but Ben Tanner from the Shakes was playing keyboards with him right when they started their opening up for John Mayer.
Of all people.
And so they needed
at the amphitheater.
Yeah, at the amphitheater, and they needed to source a Leslie cabinet. One of those cabinets the speaker rotates and shit in, because he wanted to drive a car, and I was like, yeah, I think I can find you one. So I found him one, and then drinks are happening, we're hanging out, and then I tell the story about the last time I saw Jason, and then it turns out their manager was also Jason's manager, and she was like, well, he had just recently quit drinking. And then I played everything back in my head. I was like, hey, Jason, remember when we were drinking and I was drinking and how much fun we had drinking?
And there's a story.
Yeah, and then I felt like the world's biggest butthole.
Yeah, it's like,
obviously
he distanced himself.
Yeah. I mean, and it was like freshly sober, Jason.
Yeah.
And I felt, I think he knew that I wasn't I didn't come at it as let's do triple shots and party. But still, I knew that it was fresh in his time, and the amazingness that he's done, both of being a Denison and someone from Alabama makes me so proud.
Damn proud of Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, even the dumb yacht rock band, Chad Gamble, his drummer, played with us when we were doing a Christmas show up in Florence for 2 songs, and I almost fangirled.
Yeah. Can you believe this? This guy behind me?
I was like, hey, bud.
Hey,
I'd sort of look like Jimbo Hart's brother. Jimbo Hart, you're really cool. One day we'll hang out.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much. Sorry for the addendum tales.
No problem.
But yeah, man, we're just here trying to give it our go and try to make people proud. So if you see some shows here, come out. We're really nice folks.
And I concur. We're out of here. Druid City Brewing. I had Bo Hicks. We're in the heart of Tuscaloosa. Roll damn tide.
Roll Tide, the honey bun scented bingo wing of Dixie.
Got that right. We're out of here. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. News and notes. If you haven't done so already, I would ask that you would rate and review the show on whatever podcast app it is you're listening to on. Tell your friends and family about it. Share it with a friend and tell them that we're on every podcast app that's imaginable. We're on YouTube. Follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitters, whatever is applicable to you. You go there. All right, so with Druid City Brewing, follow them also. You can get up to date with everything going on with the curbside and hours and what bands are going to be playing these quarantunes, and check out that open mic scene on Sunday evenings. It starts on Instagram with Jameson Hubbard. Yeah, you just follow Druid City Brewing and you'll see what's up. That Tuscaloosa music scene. We're going to walk the thing on out the door with Taylor Hollingsworth, Tap Dancing Daddy, off of his latest album, Tap Dancing Daddy. Peace out, guys. Thank y'all so much.
In and out. Someone threw $1 down and said, "Can I hear that song you sing?" And that band. So I tap my feet to this gravity. It bounds, it beats me to the ground. I never wanna let you down, so I keep having to repeat this sound. I never wanna let you down, I only want you to know. Tap Dancing Daddy plays another show. Up and split the door, and everyone else goes home to sleep. That's when bad habits form. Wait up for another score. Tap Dancing Daddy can't turn off his feet without it. So I tap my feet till this gravity it bounds. It beats me to the ground. I never wanna let you down, so I keep having to repeat this sound. only want you